Hello and welcome to my journey with Rust programming language. Now, I never wrote a single line of Rust before, and I just decided, hell, I'm gonna go ahead and learn this language. So this is gonna be the first video in the series of learning Rust. And basically I just, went out to the website rustlang.org and also found myself a tutorial on my right hand tab here, which I'm gonna basically use. I see some new expressions here. We're gonna explore these. Cargo, crates, traits, no idea. I come from a world of assembler code, C programming, Java, C Sharp. I did PHP, I did JavaScript, a lot of HTML, CSS as well, and this is kind of the world that I come from. I did also do other kind of languages in the past, like Python and so on, but at the end of the day, Rust is just a thing that I look up to. I feel this is a way that needs to be explored because it is fast, it is reliable, it is fun and funky, and we like that here on this channel. Now, first of all, let's just go through what is Rust from their website. I don't know it, so it basically say a language empowering everyone to build reliable and efficient software. I like that. All right, so we have version 1.8.0.1. And why are we going to do Rust, right? We're going to do that. So they tell us, well, you need to do this because of performance. Rust is basically fast and memory efficient. No runtime or garbage collector can power performant critical services, run on embedded devices, and easily integrate with other languages. Reliability, Rust's rich type system and ownership model guarantee memory safety, thread safety, enable you to eliminate many classes of bugs and compile time. Alright, so already it kind of reminds me of Python, like this reliability, and you get what the thing, not over here, this is not that much Python, this sounds like more like C programming in a way. Productivity, Rust has a great documentation of friendly compiler with use of useful error messages. I would love to see a compiler with useful error messages. Maybe we should try and provoke it a bit in the videos here. And a top-notch tooling, integrated package manager and build tools, smart multi-editor support with auto-completion and type inspection, and auto-formatter and more. Well, that's really great. So, what can we build in Rust? In 2018, the Rust community decided to improve the programming experience and so on, so we can do command line stuff with WebAssembly, with networking and embedded stuff. Now, I really don't want to touch the world of web, because I believe it's a world of shit. I'm sorry to you if you're a web developer. The world of web is basically messy. It is not for me. I don't like it. I think it's a good place to teach, to talk about, what is up and not, to talk about security and stuff like that. But to be an actual web developer these days is gonna be a no-go from my side. No, never gonna do it. It's just a lost area of work for me. Never gonna do that. So I think, in all honesty, we're gonna go ahead and just take the first one here called command line. And we're gonna go ahead and try and do some command line, applications to learn the language, which is a great way to just learn, functions and whatever they have, classes. I don't know if they have that at all, no idea. We're gonna explore all that in this video. There's also Yelp npm for the different kind of tools, great. And there is like a read about this book and watch some videos. A YouTube channel. So there's a YouTube channel, and let me just go to videos, see what this is all about. It looks like more conference talks, not really that helpful for learning, so I'm gonna, well, it does seem there's something about how Rust is different and stuff. So it would seem, if you want to get into the more philosophical part of Rust and learning what is up and not and why is it different compared to Java, for example, maybe some of these videos will offer you a great angle towards the answers you're looking for. Well, we're not going to do that in this video. What I'm going to do in this video is basically go ahead and check out the website. We can install, we can learn, playground, cool governance, community on blog. So first of all, let's go ahead and press the learn one. So there's a standard library, the guide to Rust editors, the cargo book, and so cargo is Rust package manager. It's a built-in system, it would seem. Okay, so that would probably be like npm-ish, I don't know, looks like it. Just called cargo. I get it. Learn how to make awesome documentation for Crate. No idea what that is. Familiar yourself with the knob. No idea what knobs is. Something about the compiler. Alright, so command line. Learn difficulty command line application in Rust. We can press that button right there. And it's going to give us a getting started. Command line 50 minutes. Project setup. And it's going to... Okay, so this require a Linux prompt. I want something a bit more easier. So what I think I saw in the start is if you press the logo here, get started, and try Rust without installing, that's gonna give us a web editor, web prompt. We can go ahead and run this code here, and in the bottom we're gonna see a standard output saying hello world. So I kind of think this is the way to go. So let's just start here because we never tried Rust before. We just briefly examined in a few minutes the website itself. And we do also have a tutorial on the right hand tab right here, which we're going to go ahead and check out very soon. And it does seem to have all the different kind of... Is this the same structure? Yes. So we can see stuff like create as a compilation unit in Rust, learn how to create a library, something about features, management tool. I still don't know what these two are in conjunction with each other, but there are different kind of things, all these things I marked here would be rather easy, I guess, to learn. But let's just go back, and just, fiddle around with that. What happens? They promised me some error messages. Let's remove the semicolon in the end. Okay, so it can actually execute without the semicolon because it's probably just one liner. Let's just do that. So now we got an error message. It's a mismatch closing delimiter. Yeah. So this is, I would say for me, this is pretty easy, and it does actually say closing delimiter possibly meant for this, and does actually point toward that. And then the compiler is confused because they're gonna think, hey, well, we have a starting and a closing curly bracket. We have a starting parentheses, but we have no ending. So basically, it's confusing about this and that, because this is just literal values, which is called in programming language the literal value. So I'm kind of confused. What is this and what is that? And this is what it says. I would say pretty okay, not really. So things to try out is how flexible is this? Can we just do 2 lines without semicolon? And we cannot. So this is important things to learn when we're doing a new language, is basically how flexible is the overall language. What I also think about here is this exclamation mark right there. Is there something meaning to this? I'm just thinking about these kind of things right now. I literally do not know. Let's just remove one line and go back. Just put the semicolon and remove the exclamation mark. And it does say it cannot expected function macro. And this is because we don't know it. So so something about this. We need to be aware. We need to invoke the function. Oops. We need to invoke this in some way. And it does say, use exclamation to invoke. Probably a keyword in Rust we need to learn about. Invoke stuff. What is that? I heard a few things about Rust, but nothing that I can really say anything about. So we're gonna learn these kind of things here. This is why we're creating this video, by the way. I don't know anything about it. So we can go ahead and take this and see hello world. I would definitely go ahead and mess around with the string itself, and is it a plus sign that is like a what you call it, a not again, it's what do you call it in English? It's a concatenation operator. I'm gonna run this again, and it's not a plus sign. Maybe we cannot do a plus sign within the print statement. Maybe it's a comma. Different kind of languages do have these, different kind of, signs. And this is just us playing around, trying to do different kind of things that we did in the past, with other languages. And maybe there is no such a thing as a concatenation operator in Rust. We don't know, right? So we just try things. Another thing we can go ahead and try out, we have no idea about variables, and I don't want to guess too much because this is getting weird. So what I would definitely go ahead and think about now is we see this function. So use whatever you have. So say func and say test like this. Inside this function here, we're going to go ahead and write something like test function. And can we then just directly call that in this manner? Is this something we can do? It's the same way as in Java, and it seemed we can. And then we explicitly probably think about, what about this exclamation mark? Can I put it there? Would something then happen? And it does seem that it says, no, test is in the scope, but it is an attribute. We don't not really know what that is at the moment. So it is something we know will trigger some error, and it has something to do with the scope and stuff. So we do get some impressions. There's something going on right here. Definitely something you could take a note on a piece of paper, like what is this exclamation mark all about? So definitely gonna go ahead and just say, wow, okay, so now we tried out, we played around with the print statement, we played around with the function, and we did also with the test. And we could do more things already. We could go ahead and try out, recursion and call the own function inside itself. But I would definitely not do that. It would be weird. We can also try nested function calls on different kind of things. But again, I don't think this is the way. And now what we could do as so we could select test calculation, and inside of this, we would, in the print statement below, say 10 plus 10, and see is this normal arithmetic functions going on. And it would just not do that. It's say you might be missing a string literal for the format. So it kind of suggests us to do this below. And I like, is this compiler actually telling us to do this? Is it telling us to say, like, if we add something, we need to have a format to print it in. So we need to have like this. This is what it basically tells me, and it kind of works. I wouldn't exactly know why, but it kind of told us to do this, and what this typically is all about in programming language. And now I'm just talking from experience of programming languages. Is when you do something with some strings or numbers, you add or you fill or something, you do some operation with it with some operators, just like this. You need some sort of format to output it in. And this is just a demand from a language. This is how they created it. So sometimes you will ask, but that's weird. Why? Why you would ask the question why? And as a teacher, I usually tell my students, well, think about it this way. Someone created this. Someone wrote the code to say, like, if this is the print line statement that is called, and you get the input of this, and it's something about arithmetic functions with some operators, we still need somewhere to output it, because we can probably put something inside of here. I'm guessing we could do in something replacing, let's say this was comma, numbers. And now it's kind of saying like, oh, we cannot do that because it kind of requires to do no implementation for float or integer. And does it then mean that we could do something there, should we then have the word float to tell this is expecting a float variable? And it doesn't, it didn't work this way. So and we're just trying from the compiler error messages to see whatever is going on, and it does say a lot of things like we don't know yet. So it does say use this, use that, do this, not found. I don't know. Maybe it needs to have two floats and format specifier missing, and this is where I just don't know exactly. So we are definitely playing around, and we learned something right now. We learned that we cannot just add floating numbers together, because we need to tell the compiler it's a floating value, and this is not the way to do it, even though that it kind of suggests something with the word float when I didn't have it. So let's just remove, for example, run it one more time, and then it just say, oh, now it actually works. That's really interesting. So what I theorize happened here is it does add the numbers, but because they are alike, it says the one type of float and the other type of integer numbers. Sorry, the one type of float and the other type of float will fit together. And if I just remove the one, so it's a float and integer, it says, but well, hey, it doesn't fit together. So something is definitely up. So would that mean we need to convert this to a float, to typecast it in a certain way? And we don't know. Can we just write float like that and typecast it? And that's not the way to do it. No. So we're just gonna totally go back and say we don't know. But we do learn something about these kind of things by playing around with some knowledge you have. And this is what I kind of feel we should do. So let's go to the tutorial on the right hand and present the very first one, which is also this one right there. So let's go ahead and press it, say hello world. Let's zoom in. It does say this is a comment ignored by the compiler. Click on the run button. So it's a statement here, executed and compiled, binary is called. This is the print statement, and print is a macro that prints the text in the console. So it didn't really talk about the exclamation mark, which is probably important, I guess, but not right now. And it kind of just, run the code. So let's go to comments, and to the very first in comments, we will learn about the classic one-line comment with a double slash, the block comment with the slash star, and the generate library docs for the following item and generate library docs for the enclosing item. Not really sure what it means with that, but we would definitely find out at some point, I guess. So we can also execute this code right here, which is great. It's a tutorial on rustlang.org. We are on their documentation, and it does already give us a variable right here. It's a let variable, which is a something that I remember from JavaScript, called the x equal to 5, and we can just comment this and out. So 10 plus 10 is 5. Sorry, 5 plus 5 is 10, so x equal 10. So is x 10 or 100? So that's a question. And we can see that it kind of needs a replacement format area for the value of x. So the way this works is basically it says in the order of, and I'm guessing right now, in the order of the values that are comma separated. We can test this. We can basically test this and say 10, comma 20, and then create two of these, a pair, and it should, this is this theory that I guess, and it is exactly like that. So it says 10 and a space and 20, which is the space I have right there. So that is the way we just sit down and learn about how to do these kind of things with the language, because we have some experience already. But if you don't have, it doesn't really matter because I take you through it. So I'm of course using my experience, and I talk about this in great detail, as you already know, because I feel it's important to get the first bits in order. So now we learned a few things about output formats, but we're still lacking the part where it kind of, said adding integers and floats. Next one is formatted prints. And the formatted print here is basically telling us how to format it. And we just did that actually. And we can also format in positional arguments where we say Alice is 0 and Bob is 1, because we know all arrays start from 0 to whatever in programming languages. So this would basically Alice, this is Bob, Bob, this is Alice. So it would basically say that by doing positional arguments. I think these kind of features are pretty nice. Sometimes it gives them flexibility, nothing you could not do in other ways by just writing it more intelligent. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. We can also reference the values from named arguments. So basically that's a on-the-fly printed variable, if you're going to call that, inside the print statement called object, subject, and verb. So we can just do a whole bunch of text, which is kind of nice, because then you can say like, I want things to be output in this way. So that's doing things in one print statement. It could be good, it could be bad. Sometimes it's better to have more than one print statement, like this one below. Think about doing this in one print statement. That would be incredibly confusing. Also, different formatting can be invoked by specifying the format character after a colon. So we can have like a lot of space here. So, yeah, I'm not really sure what is the space to. And this is where we should definitely just copy paste this, and with a lot of things to understand, and put it directly into the editor, and remove all the other noise, and say let's just execute this for now and see what happens. So it's a base 10, so we're going to take the base 10 of the number, which is the number itself, is correct. The binary, which is, so that's just the text, and in octal and hexadecimal, that's the different kind of, and this is going to, okay, so in Rust, we do that with a colon. In other languages, we had this percentage D for numbers, or S for strings and stuff like that. In Rust, it seems like it's with a colon at the moment, so we need to remember this B, O, and X, which is for binary, octal, and hexadecimals. We just convert through different kind of numbers, which is kind of nice whenever you're going to output for the correct, view, or I'm going to say output, right? And also write justify. There's a lot of things here. I feel these kind of things here are really nice. We can spend a lot of time on output and how to format the output. I usually don't see this as a strong thing to learn, like how to punch around things and putting zeros in front of us one. It's okay if it's something you, for example, have to put in front of a number in a certain way to ensure the same kind of format length, something like that, but for now we're just gonna leave this there as it is. Okay, so it does also say, what is this? Allow dead code. Disable dead code which warn against unused module. I don't really know what that is exactly, but it's some sort of error, I guess. So we're saying structured I32. I'm not really sure what that is. This will not compile because structure did not implement. Yeah, we don't know this right now. I think it's a bit too fast. Let's go to debug. The structure cannot be printed either for blah 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 derive. Yeah, I think this is probably a bit too fast. We should just be aware of these kind of things and go with the flow. So now we can create a struct here. Okay. So structure in some way we can format things pretty beautifully right here. There's something with an ampersand. Usually as a reference. I'm not really sure about that for now, but it would seem like this is a reference. It says person, so this is probably a variable. Is this a name that allows the singular quotation, or is this something that means something? I don't know that right now. Alright, so I think we could try and run this here just to see what's going on. So it does say the name of person. So we say let name Peter the variable of age 27. Then we create a new variable which is equal to the person. So the variable will then transform itself to the same structure as we defined in the top. That could be interpreted as like a class or reference or something like that. But it's a structure, it's a different thing. And we input name and age, and this is gonna be, yeah, and then I kind of feel it's a bit weird, this format. You know, just try something. Remove this. No, it's actually a thing that was quiet. That's funny. So if we do that and say, what is really happening here is we do take the name and the age. So is this something to do with, let's just write it one more time. So just say person. So we are actually printing Peter in this weird output way, which was defined. Let's definitely make this printable, but sacrifice some energy on this. Rust also provide pretty printing with this. So we are doing a debug output, which I kind of seen in many programming languages before, also in PHP and Java. So we can output the structure itself, so it's easier to see whether it's working or not and debugging the code. That's great. So we do get this name, and U8 could be integer 8-bit. I'm just guessing. Does it say this anywhere? You know, and this is where the tutorial is probably failing us a bit. So let's just go forward. We don't know yet. And it continues about with this. As a first time Rust programming experience, it seems like a bit too much for now. Just have word like mut, which could be short for mutable, which I think it is. Basically just whenever you encounter these kind of things trying to learn your programming language, just look at it and see how much sense it makes. And if you just look at it the first time, it's like, oh, it doesn't make sense. But if you just take your time, you know, and look at it, it's like this is import something, so it looks like you're using standard, and then from this library you take this module, class, whatever it's called in Rust, and you need to find a structure. I'm not really sure what I32 means. Is it a tuple structure, name structure that contains an I32? And then we are back to this, what is I32? It doesn't really say, so I feel we need some things. So going away from this and going to the things called primitives, we are beginning to see something that is called variables, but it's primitives. And primitive variables is, especially in Java and other languages, a variable that's not a class. Basically, that's it. So you have a signed integer, which is I8. So 8 I is for the integer and 8 is for the bit length. So 8 bytes. 16 bits, sorry, would be, I guess. I got different kind of sizes. Not really sure what this is, but unsigned. So this is some of the from before. So if we go back to the, wherever this was, formatted prints, I think display. On the structure, you can see you create a structure. This is a variable, it's an integer variable. Now we're learning stuff. So remember to go back whenever you learn something new and say, does it make more sense now? And this tutorial is not like a ladder tutorial saying 1, 2, 3 variables, loop, stuff like that. Not, I'm pretty sure I have it right here and somewhere, but this is actually a documentation, not a learning guide. So this is the problem. So we're actually looking at the documentation. So the documentation doesn't really, take into the consideration that we're trying to learn it. So it's just like, this is it. Okay, so the structure itself, something about this and that, and I just cannot see where the number is from. But let's go back to primitives, and we can also see we have something like combine types. It's like an array and tuple. I don't know, from my experience with Python, a tuple is something immutable. I'm not really sure if this is the case here. It doesn't say, so I cannot say, but it looks like the same format as Python. So I would say for now, go with whatever you feel is right and just try and use it, and that would be the correct way to try. Yes. All right. So. We can also take one step. Actually, there's a pretty good one here. It's like a type definition of a variable. So we say like this is a Boolean value, true, false. This is a regular annotation. I'm not really sure what it means. Oh yeah, a regular. So it's just a normal. Yeah, sorry. So this is a. It seems like a floated 64. Does this mean that? And when we go back to this, and we just say like, oh, is this we did in the start? Is this something with doing F64 inside of it? Telling something and not. We still need to find out why this is not working, and we could of course put it into ChatGPT, and we could do that, and find out what's going on. But I feel like we need to find out ourselves in a certain way. So we are coming to an end in this video. It's gonna get long right now. It's a 30 minutes video. We started on our journey with Rust. We played around. We found some things. It's okay so far. I feel okay about it. We still cannot do anything great, so I'm going to leave it for now and say I hope you enjoyed the journey so far, and you're going to join me and jump on the wagon for learning more about Rust in the future. And if so, you cannot wait, please just go ahead and, learn more with Rust and continue to better yourself. That is the way to go. So if you're not already subscribed, please consider pressing the button subscribe. And it's free. It's gonna help me grow the channel. It's gonna help me, be here for you and earn a little extra money from YouTube, which is very slim. It's very little, and I always need equipment and new stuff and subscriptions to this and that. So I'm gonna try and keep up, and really hope that you will subscribe to my channel, leave a comment below, like the video, and any questions, just ask. I'm gonna try and do my best to answer if it's within my abilities. Have a really nice day. See you again online.